Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fall 2022 edition of Purchasing Do's and Don'ts. My name is Jeff Wakeman. I am the Director of Student Development here at Stockton University. And thank you for coming to our YouTube channel and checking out our officer training videos. Please like and subscribe our channel to see all of the videos and all of the fun things that we post there. Thank you for coming today. Like I said, we are going to be talking about using your money and buying things. So what's a better fun topic to talk about? Let me quickly share my screen here. Hit the presentation button and make sure we are adding the subtitles. I'm also going to hide my face so you don't have to stare at me. I can figure out how to get there. There I am. And that should stay out of the way. So thank you. Welcome everyone for coming again to our YouTube channel and checking out the Purchasing Do's and Don'ts Fall 2022 edition. I want to start by saying that everything that we're talking about today is available on our website, on our standards and practices pages. So if you miss something or you just want to look something up or really just dive a little bit deeper into our rules and things, just go to the Stockton website, type in student development, and find our standards and practices pages. Most of the things that we're going to be talking about today are found in the funding section, eligibility, funding limitations, prize information, all of that is there. So please go look a little deeper. But today we're going to cover most of the basics right on this YouTube. So we have some golden rules. These are the rules that you need to know and make sure that you are following at all times. The first one is it takes 3 weeks, a minimum of 3 weeks to get any purchases completed at Stockton. We are a state institution and there are some intricacies to the state purchasing policies. So not everything is going to take 3 weeks, but we never know what is going to take 3 weeks. So please make sure that you're getting all of your information into the Osprey Hub and talking to your student dev advisor at least 3 weeks out from when you need to make that purchase. All right, the second golden rule is everything must be pre-approved. You are not allowed to purchase anything using your funds or getting reimbursements later or anything else that hasn't been pre-approved. So if you have the credit card and you're at the store and you find that one thing that you need, but you didn't already have on your list, please do not purchase it. And never, ever, ever use your money to purchase something and expect to get a reimbursement unless, obviously, it has been pre-approved. And that's right on the third one right there, no reimbursements. If you put out your money or cash from your pocket and then come back and bring us a receipt, it is highly probable that we are not going to be able to make that reimbursement. And because we are the part of the state of New Jersey, we do not pay sales tax. So make sure anytime you're working with a vendor or you're about to make that purchase, you make sure that there is no sales tax included in your purchase. We have tax exempt forms that you can deliver to your merchants and make sure that they don't purchase or put on that sales tax. All right, let's talk about some do's. What is the first do? Well, you need to be a fundable RSO, that is a registered student organization in good standing. Only fundable RSOs will get funding from the university, and those are the only ones that are going to be able to spend money. You also need to follow all the policies and the timelines and things. So just make sure that you're really keeping track of what they are. And the other do is have open and accessible activities hosted by your organization. Obviously, all of these funds are student activities funds, and we want to make sure that they are for open and accessible activities. Here's some more don'ts. Don't purchase things for other non-funded groups. If there's a group out there that is asking you for your money and you're not really into it and you're not a part of that program, why would you buy them stuff? And this goes definitely for academic programs or classes. One of the standards of practices we have is student activities fees are for student activities that are not connected to an academic program or course. We also aren't allowed to do loans or direct cash payments for anything. So there almost never will be a place where you are actually handing someone cash or where you are loaning someone money that they will have to repay later. We also aren't allowed to do donations from activities fees. Now, this doesn't mean that your group can't do donations for whatever social cause you have, whether it be, food insecurity or children's health or anything like that. We're not allowed to do the donations from the activities fees. They have to come from your fundraised money. We also aren't allowed to fund closed gatherings or limited giveaways. So if we are specifically trying to buy track jackets for the officers of the club, we want to avoid that as much as possible. And we also aren't allowed to fund an activity that is not open for the entire student body, such as, men's night of pizza or, a women's whatever. So whatever it is, if it's a closed gathering that is only for your club or only for a portion of the student body, then we aren't able to fund that. All right, let's talk about some more dues. Fundraise for those donations. We love that the student groups are interested in making sure that social good causes are receiving donations, but we just have to fundraise for it. We also need to limit the prices for any kind of giveaway or swag items or uniforms that are not going to be recycled back into the organization. So if it is a one-year thing or it's personalized or if it's anything like that, we really want to limit the prices for that because yes, we do need to have marketing materials or a polo shirt to wear to that formal event to show who you are, but we want to make sure that we're limiting the prices on those. Also, we need to make sure that we have a ticket price for the really expensive stuff. If you're traveling far, or, you got those Broadway tickets or, football, baseball game tickets, sporting tickets, and you only probably have a limited them. Bus only has 52 seats. You only have 52 tickets. Let's have a ticket price for that. And the reason we do that is because if nobody bought the ticket on Saturday morning when it's time to go to that trip, a lot of people are going to sleep in. But if we charge a minimal $1, $3, $5, $7, whatever it is, that means that student is dedicated enough to make sure that they take the seat only when they are committed and that they show up when the trip shows up. All right. I also want you all to build partnerships, even with non-funded group. Remember earlier when I said don't pay for things for non-funded groups? That's different if there's a real partnership. If you are doing an event with a fraternity or a sorority or an outside group and you're a true partner in that event, it's absolutely fine to use your funding. All right. We're also okay having giveaways, small giveaways like t-shirts for everybody or, logo equipment, pens, bottles, lanyards, whatever it is. That's absolutely fine. We're also allowed to have door prizes if you want to give away 2 or 3 larger items for people that attend your event. That is also fine, but they can only go to students only. So let's make sure giveaways, door prizes are students only. All right, let's talk about some more don'ts. If you decide that you are going to do that prize, it must be under $50, okay? We're going to really reserve any of the prizes over $50 for something that is really big. You also need approval from the Director of Student Development, me, whenever you're doing anything over $50, all right? We also aren't allowed to fund graduation cords, supplies, or pins from the student activities fee. Why? Hopefully it's obvious because not everyone in the organization graduates. You eventually will graduate, but this year's student activities fees should pay for things for this year's students. So there are many students who aren't graduating. So we need to not purchase those cords, pins, sashes, whatever that are graduation materials out of the student activities fee. Again, fundraise, absolutely fine. Let's not give gifts to the advisors or to the members. Your advisors are probably employees of the university and probably employees of the state and probably shouldn't be accepting student gifts, at least definitely not from these state funds. If you decide that you want to purchase something for your advisor, it really should come out of the pocket of the students. But I will tell you, that's kind of embarrassing. We would prefer not to get gifts from you. You're all college students. You're way poorer than we are. We have real jobs. So just we don't need the gifts, okay? You want to make us a certificate or a plaque? Perfectly okay. And that is okay to be funded by the activities fee, all right? We're also not allowed to use any of the funds for alcohol or events with only alcohol. So what does this mean? Can your club not go to a bowling alley because there's a bar? No, it just means that none of the club funds can go to the bar, okay? So we want to make sure if we're holding events that there is something to do there other than alcohol, like bowling, you know? This also means that if you're throwing a formal event and there is a cash bar that is available, that's fine. But the student activities fees can't go for any bartender fees or setup fees to make sure that that cash bar is available. So again, do that from fundraise dollars only, all right? Hold raffles or games of chance, please. Please, everyone thinks that they're going to be able to, you know, raffle off a car and make thousands and thousands of dollars for kids with cancer or whatever it is that you're working on. This is extremely difficult. Sadly, we live in the state of New Jersey, which has these giant things called casinos, and there are very strict gaming laws that are activated in the state. So it is extremely difficult to hold a legal game of chance or a raffle. That is a funded thing. Remember, door prizes are fine. Everybody who walks in gets a chance to win, pull a thing out of the basket, great. But raffles or games of chance are where you pay for that ticket, okay? So if it's just a free bingo night, great, give it away, whatever, that's fine. If it's a game of skill, if you're gonna have a dart competition, if you're gonna have a singing competition with judges, those are all fine to have prizes for. But a game of chance where you purchase a ticket and the amount of money that you put in increases your odds to win, that is a game of chance and is considered gambling. So we really can't get into that. Let's do some more do's. Here are the do's. These are the things that we need to have whenever we're making a purchase. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to collect and load backup for every purchase we do. We're going to have to collect W-9 and insurance forms for many of the service providers that we're going to be using for our student funds and events. We have to do a purchase request for every expenditure. What does this mean? Hey, if we're throwing a party and we have food and a DJ and decorations, that means we're going to have 3 different purchase requests. One for the food, one for the DJ, and one for the decorations. So just remember that every single purchase needs a purchase request, all right? Also remember, payee is the person you're paying, okay? When you get to the forms, you'll see a line that says payee. Everybody say it with me. Payee is the person you're paying, okay? So many people put their own name there, and it's amusing, but it does helpful. We need payee to be the person you are paying, or the vendor, or the business, or whatever. Payee is the person receiving the funds. And then the last do is follow up with the vendors. If you've put in a purchase request for the bus or for a DJ, once you're done and you've put in all the paperwork, call them up and say, hey, I've put in all the paperwork. You should be receiving information soon. Okay, if they don't receive it, they'll call you and say, hey, I haven't received my contract yet, or I haven't received the purchase order, or I still need someone to call me with a credit card number. So make sure that you're following up with your vendors. So let's talk about the process. Here is the process. You can see the arrow goes along. Basically, you are going to enter a request onto the Osprey Hub. Then your student development advisor will review that request and approve it if it's good, right? I mean, obviously, if it's bad, they might send it back to you. You could see that on the top. Any stage, the approval person can give comments or return it for more information. They may say, hey, I need a W-9 for that DJ. Please make sure you load that. All right. Once everything's in place, they will move it forward. When they move it forward, it'll be student development approved. It will go to Melissa Vanderek in my office, who will look at the purchase order and begin the purchase process. This is where vendors may receive a contract. She may create a purchase order. She may call Amazon or type in the online order. So all of that is going to happen at this stage. It's very important that if you see when the student development advisor reviews and approves, that's when your money is encumbered. What does encumbered mean? It's like a checkbook. That's when it is held. All right. So anyway, Melissa will do all the paperwork, and then the purchase happens. Contracts are sent back and forth. The purchase orders are created and sent to the vendor. The Amazon order is placed. Whatever happens, that's when it happens. Okay. Once the event has happened and the check gets delivered, or the Amazon shows up, or the credit card gets run, whatever, after that, Melissa will close the purchase with the final numbers. And that's when the money is removed from your account. This is really important because you may enter a request that says, hey, it's going to be $200 for the decorations for our event. We approve it. Melissa hands you the credit card. You go to the store. You spend $170 on your decorations. You bring back the receipts with Melissa. That's when the purchase happens. And then Melissa will go into the system and because remember, $200 was encumbered. She will change the number to 170 and $30 will become released back into your account. So it's really important that you understand how the stage works. All right. Food on campus. Let's talk about food on campus. Everybody wants food. Here's the deal. We all know Chartwells. Chartwells is the food vendor on campus, and they have the right of first refusal for all catering on the Galloway campus. Okay. If you're doing food anywhere on the Galloway campus, they have the first choice to do it. Now, if they can't do it for religious or cultural reasons, you can make a request for cultural religious needs, and they can approve the request to go off campus. If you're asking for a dish that they can't do or don't know how to do, they can give you approval to use an off-campus vendor, okay? Especially if we're doing halal or kosher, that's where it becomes very difficult. They will do tastings. They will offer to do tastings if you have a cultural food or something that they haven't made before, or you're not sure they can do, you can ask them for a tasting, all right? You must get that approval if you're deciding to go off campus and use a third-party vendor in Galloway. You must get that approval and then collect a whole lot of paperwork. Okay, so please, if you are going to seek that approval, we're going to need this many weeks out, 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks out if we've never used that vendor. Okay, and it will be the responsibility of the student group to make sure all that vendor's paperwork is in place before we can make the order for that food. All right, if you're using other campuses, you don't need the approval from Galloway to use a third-party vendor, but all of the same paperwork, insurance and sanitary inspections and serve-safe certificates and all this other stuff is still required. So if we have a list of vendors who already have that paperwork in place. So if you are using or you do get approval for a third-party vendor and you pull it off our list, it's a little easier. If it's a new vendor, trust me, there is a lot of things to do, and that is going to be your responsibility. All right, let's keep moving on. Services, service contracts. If there is a person or a group doing a service for the event, like DJing or installing a balloon arch, or they're a magician who's performing, or they're singing or anything like that, that is considered a service, okay? For any kind of service, we have a contract that the university uses and gets signed by both parties. It gets processed in our office, it gets mailed to them, they sign it, they mail it back to the university, we sign it, and then the performance can happen or the service can happen, and then they get paid 30 days after the service is provided. This is very important. So we have to collect their W-9, we have to collect their proof of insurance or get an insurance waiver. There's a lot of things that we have to do, which goes back to the 3 weeks notice needed, all right? By the way, anything with terms and conditions on it is a contract, and the approval process is the same. You are not able to sign a contract. So do not, under any circumstances, sign anything that says terms and conditions. If you sign a contract, like a DJ says, oh yeah, I can play your event, here, just sign this and send it back for me. If you sign that, you're the one who has made the agreement to pay that DJ, not the university. So please do not sign anything. Do not sign anything that says terms and conditions. Please bring to our office as soon as possible. And by the way, anything that is a service or that uses a service contract, we are not allowed to pay on the credit card. So if that DJ says, yeah, don't worry, I'll send you a Venmo, you can just pay online, we're not able to do that. We're going to need to pay for that by check, and that check will be produced 30 days after the event. Please make sure that your vendors know that. All right, let's keep going. Travel. Travel takes a long time. Why does travel take a long time? Not just because the airlines are going to ditch you in the airport. No, travel takes a lot of time to process. We're talking 4 to 6 weeks here, because every single time a student travels, there is a new set of circumstances that needs to be worked out and put through our purchasing process. Okay, so where you're going and what conference you're attending and what hotel you're staying at and how you're going to get there, all of these things need to be planned and need to be planned out pretty far, okay? There's some other things like we can't use a credit card for ticket and entrance fees for anything that is active, okay? If we're watching a play or doing a theater thing or watching a movie, sometimes we can use credit cards for that, but anything like an escape room or a ropes course or bowling or anything where you're active, we are going to have to pay them by check, all right? Also, because this process is so long, Airbnbs or Verbos or whatever online sharing you're using, they really don't work within our system. The first question we have to ask is, where are you staying? What is the address? And a lot of Airbnbs will not give you the address until you pay for it. And we're not able to pay for it until we get the address. So by time we figure all this out and we get it approved through the state, and then we get the credit card and we go back, the Airbnbs are 99% booked. So it is much better to just stay at the hotel, at a regular hotel where they have many rooms. If you're going to a conference, I know you want to save a little money, but it is just so much easier to stay at the hotel or stay at the conference hotel when you're traveling, all right? So we also need, obviously, the paperwork. We're going to need all parts of the trip together. What does the travel cost? What do the tickets cost? Is there any food that needs to be purchased? Is there parking at the hotel that needs to be paid for? We need all of this at the same time, at the time of planning for travel, all right? And by the way, we're going to have to put all of this in and then get it all approved and then do a purchase request for every single one. So if there's a bus fee or a plane ticket, that's your travel, and then a ticket to get into the conference or conference registration, that's a second purchase request. And then if we're buying a group meal, that's a third purchase request. And if the van needs parking, that's a fourth purchase request for each and everything that is going to cost during the travel. That's some complicated stuff. Let's talk about some easy stuff. We want you to work on the easy stuff. And, you know, if you're new, if you're starting out, you're a little scared about what you're doing, why not do some easy stuff first? We have accounts with Amazon and WB Mason and a bunch of other people like Chartwells and things, and it is very easy to get a purchase done. All right. If you're looking to do prizes, digital prizes are very easy. If you'd like to give a $10 Amazon gift card, we can purchase an online digital gift card. You can hold your door prize at the event, get the student to sign their prize receipt, bring it to us. As soon as they do it, we just email them the code and they get their digital gift card. So yeah, digital gift cards are easy, but every prize must go to a student and we must get a prize receipt. By the way, we also have a digital prize receipt. So it's not even like a piece of paper we need to move around. All right, what else is easy? Food from Chartwells. Yeah, I know you might not like it as much, but trust me, this is one of the easiest things you can accomplish. And really, it's not that bad. So yeah, food from Chartwells is very easy to order. We have a cater track system. You do the order online. You put who your student dev advisor is. It goes to us. We approve it, and the purchase happens, and the food shows up. It's always there. It's always on time. They always bring the spoons and the cups and the knives and everything else you need. So food from Chartwells is very easy to take care of on campus. It's also very easy to buy local. We have credit cards that can be checked out, and you could take it to a real store and hand them the tax exempt form and swipe it in a cash register and walk out with your stuff. All right. We also have a list of apparel and promotional vendors. So if you're looking to get t-shirts made, or you're looking to get some printed material like a pen or a cup or whatever, we have a group of promotional item vendors that honestly, they make the process very easy. They already know all our rules and policies, and they know how the purchase order system is going to work. So, hey, think about doing one of the easy ones. Let's do some more golden rules. All right, so here's the deal. This is a lot of information, and you're not going to remember everything. Here's what you need to know. Work with your student advisor early. Just show up. Tell us what you're working on. We will help you take care of it. All right? If you're at home, it's midnight, you know you can't get a hold of your student advisor, check out the website, email us some questions. We can try and figure something out. If you're doing something weird, we can ask up the chain. Hey, you know, how do we buy bees, or how do we do this? So the last golden rule, and this is really important to me, is you need to remember that this is all the students' money. All right, the money that was given to your organization or to the student senate or to the students in general to work with, where did that money come from? It came from every student at Stockton who paid their student activities fees. So is it great if you get something great or your members get a great experience? Sure, but it's better if everybody gets a little piece of the pie. So try and serve as many students as possible with your funding. Try and have large events. Try and have diverse events. Try and have excellent events that are really going to hit that wider audience. Now, obviously, if you're a club like the photography club and a student is not interested in photography, they're not going to show up. So we don't need an event that everybody loves. That's SET's job, and they do it very well. But serve your constituents and make sure, again, you're spending this year's student activities fee on this year's students. All right, let's talk about some nuts and bolts about your budgets. So there are two kinds of budgets here at Stockton, your club budget and your revenue funds. All right. The club budget is the money that is given to you annually by the Student Senate Finance Committee. It's allocated there, and they are available until the summer, basically until May 30th. So if you are doing anything basically in June, you want to have that all processed. But it's an annual budget. It is for 1 year, which also means at the end of the year, right around July 1st, it all goes back to the funds on campus, so you don't get to carry over that money. And you have to reapply annually to make sure you have a budget for the following academic year. Just because you got $500 this year doesn't mean you're going to get $500 next year. You must reapply. Just because you saved $200 this year doesn't mean next year you still have that $200. The club budget disappears every summer. It doesn't disappear. It goes into a fund. Anyway, we don't need to go there. Revenue funds. What are revenue funds? Your revenue funds is money generated by your organization from your fundraising efforts. All right. This is where you get to do all those things like buy yourself track jackets or donate to children with cancer and everything. So these funds carry over year to year. If you raise money, you get to keep it and you get to use it. All right. You get to use it the way you want to use it. There's a lot more flexibility in what you can use your revenue funds for. But be careful because revenue is profit made only. If you have a $500 event, DJ party, and 100 people come and you charge them $5, you've not actually made any profit. The first $500 from that theoretical $500 event must be deposited back to the budget it came from before anything goes to your revenue. So hopefully that helps. We're going to keep moving here. So how do you get to use the money? Well, there's two kinds of finance requests. One is a purchase request and one is a funding request. A purchase request is the record of money being spent from your organization's account. All right, you have the money and you're gonna buy something. And this is necessary for every single expense. Remember, for throwing a party and you got DJ and food and decorations, you do 3 different purchase requests. One to pay for the food, one to pay the DJ, one to pay for the decorations. All right, what is a funding request? A funding request is a request to the Student Senate Finance Committee for additional funds for a specific event, trip, or initiative. Sometimes people call these supplemental requests, but that's kind of like the old language, okay? Because the fund they keep it in is called the supplemental funding, right? So people say, oh, to make a supplemental request. It's not a supplemental request, it's a funding request. So purchase request is for every single purchase. Funding request is for every single event. How do you put them in? Well, hopefully you already know how to log on to the Osprey Hub, but you would basically select your organization, hit the little gear there, and hit the finance button. All right. If you don't know how to do this, go check out Osprey Hub 101 or Osprey Hub for Beginners on our YouTube channel. Lauren Wilson will take care of you. But once you push that button, you're going to be in the funding pages. And the funding pages has 2 different pages. One of them shows all of your purchase requests, and one of them shows all your funding requests. And you can see here today we are on the purchasing side. That's why it is the darker gray on the top left. So we see all of the things that you have purchased in the past. This club bought club logo stickers for $204.60. They got materials for their VR headset for $19. They bought some tabling supplies for $103. All right. On the top right is, oh, I should mention, let me do this first. Let me go here. How do you know how much funds you have? So on the finance page, you can click the accounts button. You can see that in that green circle on the top right. When you click the accounts button, you're going to come here and you're going to see your accounts. Remember I said you had a club budget and a revenue budget? Well, there they are. Currently, when I took this snapshot, the Marine Science Club budget had $2,500 balance, but notice it has a available of $2,275. That's because some of the money is encumbered, not yet spent, but also not available. All right, and there you can see their revenue budget, and you can see the description has the numbers on it. All of the revenue budgets start with 1, 2, 3. All the club budgets start with SAO. All right. Back to this slide from before, if you hit the create request button, the blue button at the top, you will see create a purchase request or create a funding request. We talked about what they were a minute ago. Let's go to what it looks like when you do a purchase request. There's all the standard questions. You have to select your account, but it's going to ask you subject. What are you buying? What is the description? All right. What is the requested amount? The categories are things like this is marketing or event supplies or travel funding or travel food or travel tickets. And then right down there, we have payee. And say it with me. Payee is the person receiving the payment. Please, payee is the person receiving the payment. Notice it says first name, last name. If you're buying something from Amazon, just put right in the first name, Amazon.com. Okay. We don't have to think crazy. Payee is the person who is buying, who is receiving the funds. All right. An account, obviously, you're going to be selecting probably your organization account or your revenue account. All right, let's keep moving. Further down the list, they ask the vendor info. What is the vendor phone number? What is their email address? What is the vendor URL if you're making an online purchase? Why didn't we ask the vendor name? Because you already put it on Payee, right? Right? Okay, good. So we need to prove to the state that you actually held this event. So we're going to need a flyer or a URL of the event page. So hopefully you have done an event page through the Osprey Hub, and you can literally drop the URL right there. All right. This purchase will be completed by. This is how you're going to pay. Are you going to borrow the credit card and take it to the real store? Are you going to do an online transaction by credit card? Are you going to pay by check? Remember, all those service people, they have to pay by check. So if we are paying by check, we must upload a quote or an invoice or something that tells us that that's actually what it's going to cost. All right. And then there's internal transfers for Chartwells or Print Shop, or maybe you're just giving money to another organization because you're co-sponsoring the event. So that's how this all works. Okay. And then here is the online upload a file button. That's where you would upload your purchase, your quote, your online. People do snapshots of their Amazon shopping cart. That is one of the easiest ways to make an order. So you just put that right there, upload that file, all right? And then the second one says, please upload W-9 form. You have to do a W-9 for each vendor each year. So if you know the vendor has been here 10 times that year, you probably don't need to do it. But if this is a new vendor that you're bringing to the university, please ask them for their tax paperwork. It's called a W-9, and you must upload it for each vendor. If you don't, we will call you and we will harass you because we are not able to pay that person until we have their tax information. Let's keep moving forward here. Oh, did I go too far? Here we go. Wait a second. We went too far. Here we go. Now we're on the right slide now. Thank you. So anyway, so purchase request is for each vendor or shopping trip that you're going to do. Each purchase gets its own purchasing request. We mentioned that before. A funding request, each event gets its own funding request. Okay. The first questions sound kind of similar. Subject, description, requested amount. Okay. That's all there. Supply the category. Which account is it going to come from? So instead of putting DJ Jeff as the subject, you're going to put, fashion show. All right, because you're making one funded request for the entire event. So in the description, you'll say in December, we're going to have a fashion show and it's going to be great. This is what the clothes are going to be like. And we're going to have food and we're going to have a DJ and we're going to have all that. This is how a funding request works. Everything for the event in the same funding request. All right. After that, there's some general questions. What type of request is this? Is it a travel request? Is it an event request, etc.? What is the date, time, and location of the event? What is the estimated attendance for this event? And then, has your organization received any funding? These are the questions that the Senate Finance Committee is going to use to decide if this event is worthy the budget. If you want $10,000 and you expect 10 students to show up, you're probably not going to receive funding. All right. So, and also if you still have $10,000 in your budget and you haven't used it yet, you're probably not going to get $100 from the Finance Committee until you've used your budget. So that's why they ask these questions. At the bottom, this is where you're going to put in each expense. So put in all the expenses, not just the ones you're requesting money for. So again, think about the theoretical party. We're going to have a DJ. So you list the DJ in the first one. We're going to have food. You list the food in the second one and the decorations the third one. If we're doing a trip, maybe it's to a conference. The first one is going to be conference registration, and the second one is going to be the flights to get you there, and the third one is going to be the meal vouchers that you need. I don't know. You'll figure out, but you do one for each expense that you're going to have. All right. And then there's these two upload file buttons. Okay. There is so many times when there is a funding request and it is so complex that there is a 10-page request. Okay. You can literally upload the entire file that has everything you've ever got for this budget. Have you received paperwork from the busing company and from the conference and from you just upload it all. Do you have a budget sheet? A lot of times students will say, hey, we have 27 different purchases that are going to happen. So here's the full budget sheet and there's all the lines and it all adds up to the top. All right. If you have any invoices or estimated travel expense or hotel quotes or, pictures of hotels.com pages, whatever, there's a second file to upload the button. All right. Now, here's the 3 lines that trip up a lot of people. What is the total cost of the event? Total cost of the entire event, not just the amount of money that's being requested. What is the total of the club's contribution? Okay, are you getting some money from your budget to pay for, the flights, but you need money for the conference registration? That's where you put how much the club is going to contribute. And then the third one is, what is the personal contribution? Are the students paying for their own flight? Are the students paying for their own meals while they're at the conference? Is it a $25 ticket price? This is where you put the total of the personal contribution. All right, does that make sense? And here's the deal. The requested money equals the total minus the personal minus the org contribution. Okay, I put plus there. I don't know. My algebra failed me. So there it is. Hopefully this all makes sense. So what is the process for a funding request? All right. Student leader enters the request, same as the purchase request. The student development advisor reviews and approves the request, right? Then it moves on to the Senate Finance Committee. The Senate Finance Committee will review, they'll call you in, they'll say, come in on this Tuesday, and you talk to them about your event. If the Finance Committee approves, and it is under $1,500, $1,499 events exist. If the Finance Committee approves and it is under $1,500, it is done. It gets approved at that moment. If it is over $1,500, it must move on to the full Senate. All right, so if it is $1,500 and 0 cents to $1 million, we don't have $1 million, but then it must go to the full Senate review. Full Senate review only happens once a month in the 3rd Tuesday. So that's why it's very important that if you are doing a funding request, you need to do this as far out as possible. Because what happens when you get it approved, the money gets moved to your account, and then all of the purchase requests need to be entered by the student leader. So those all need to be done at least 3 weeks prior. So you need to have your money in place 6 weeks, 8 weeks out, so that way you can put in all of your purchase requests 3 weeks out. All right. Just because you said the DJ was going to cost $500 in your funding request, you still need to do a purchase to make sure that person gets paid. So this is why the timelines are so important. All right. 25 live room requests can happen. A meeting probably is only going to take 3 or 4 days. An event request is going to take 3 weeks. We need to have that Osprey Hub event request 3 weeks in. Individual purchase request 3 weeks. Student Senate funding request 3 weeks plus the amount of weeks you need to get it in. Cater tracks need 2 weeks. Travel requests need 4 to 6 weeks because they're so complicated. Please just come in as early as possible. You can literally walk in on, I was going to say September 1st, but I'm going to say July 10th. You can come in on July 10th to plan an event for March. It is not going to hurt you at all. All right. So come in as early as possible, talk to your student dev advisor, bring in as much information as you have. second to last plug here, we have a resource link in the campus link section of Osprey Hub. You need to use those, the Who's My Advisor, the standards of practices, all of these training videos are there. The Cater tracks information is there. If you're interested in getting an Instagram shout out through our Instagram, there's a form there. Ticketing requests, all of those things are all here in the campus link section on the Osprey Hub. All right. The other resource, the great resource, is going to be your club's constitution, organization's constitution. Every single one of them has a mission statement. Read that mission statement and do great events that feed your mission, that support your mission. That is the most important thing that you do. That's why your club exists. So please check your club constitution, make sure what you're doing is congruent to your mission. And probably the most important resource, but we're not going to say that because we don't want our heads getting too big, is your student development advisor. We know all of these policies and procedures, and we know who to call to ask the questions. So please stop and see your student development advisor as early and as often as possible. That's the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for listening to me on this YouTube video. If you have any questions, please contact us or use the comment feature. It's perfectly fine to use the little comment feature on YouTube. We will respond to comments and you will get it. So yeah, go ahead, right down there in the doodly-doo, give us a comment. Once again, my name is Jeff Wakeman. I want to thank you for listening to today's program. You can always find us. We are on the second floor of the campus center and we are here every day. So please find us, talk to us about what event you're doing, tell us what's going on and let us help you. And throw great events. We're excited to see all the fun things you're going to bring us. Again, like and subscribe to YouTube. Tell us in the comments if you have any questions. Contact us as often as possible. And again, thank you for being the most vibrant and exciting clubs, which brings everything to our office. It really is the student life of the campus. So yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks. My name is Jeff Wakeman.